Hello Aluxers, today we're bringing you up to date with a topic that was creating big waves just a couple of years ago, but that most of us haven't heard quite as much about since: cryptocurrency. And though it may not be in the spotlight right now, as we're about to see, it's still something that's well worth keeping an eye on. Welcome to Alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. Cryptocurrency, that is digital money, which isn't centralized through a bank in the way traditional currencies are, has been touted by some to do for money what the internet did for information. In other words, take control away from big institutions and into the hands of ordinary people. And it could lead the way to a cashless society where we don't have to pay bank fees for transactions or commissions for foreign exchange. We'll be asking how much progress it's made toward doing that, and we'll be paying close attention to the star player in the crypto world, Bitcoin, as well as taking a quick look at a few other cryptocurrencies. Now, you might remember when Bitcoin shot up in value and created a huge buzz, and a lot of people were building it up to be the new big thing. If you've got a good memory for dates, you can place that as late 2017. And you may well recall when rapper 50 Cent suddenly realized his Bitcoin were now worth $8 million, even though a few days before he couldn't even remember he owned them. However, very soon afterwards, its value took a nosedive, and Bitcoin wasn't the talk of the town any longer. So to get into this, first we have to ask, how did Bitcoin get so big and then suddenly collapse? To make a long story short, after going online in 2009, Bitcoin had a slow start, but gradually interest in it picked up. As that happened, its value went up slowly but surely, from just 30 US cents for a Bitcoin in early 2011 to a whopping $998 at the start of 2017. With this monumental rise in Bitcoin's fortunes, stock and currency traders were buying up Bitcoin like there was no tomorrow. The result? In December 2017, Bitcoin hit an all-time high of close to $19,800. But sure enough, this didn't last long, because very soon Bitcoin shared the same fate as a lot of stocks that are new and exciting, but relatively unknown. Investors began asking if it was actually worth that much, and they started selling it in droves. The Bitcoin bubble burst, losing 80% of its value in 2018, and by the end of the year it was down to around $3,200. So what's happened since then? Well, it might not have been in the news as much as before, but for the most part, it's actually been doing pretty well. Not the staggering heights it reached in 2017, but it's mostly been hovering between a respectable $7,000 to $8,000 per Bitcoin with some fluctuations, but not as wild as earlier. At the moment, it's worth noting the economic uncertainty around the coronavirus has meant it's taken a big dive once again. Although this is true for a lot of stocks as well. We can only wait to see if this situation is temporary. Now, what about Bitcoin as a form of payment? So far, we've talked about Bitcoin as a financial instrument for investing in and trading. But let's remember that this isn't what Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies were originally meant for. They were designed as a way of paying for goods and services while bypassing banks. In fact, the founder of ETHEREUM, Vitalik Buterin, once famously went on Twitter to complain that there's too much talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum as financial instruments, and not enough focus on making them more widely available as a form of payment. So if you've gotten a Bitcoin, Ethereum, or LITECOIN account, how easily can you make purchases with it? The short answer is, it's gaining ground, but don't expect to be able to spend it everywhere just yet. Some of the time, it's well-established companies that are accepting it, but more often you'll find startups that act as intermediaries who allow you to pay them in Bitcoin while they secure the order through a more established brand name. Let's take a few things you might often want to pay for, like food delivery. Sure, Bitcoin isn't yet accepted by many of the biggest names like Uber Eats, but you'll find that some do, like Takeaway.com in several European cities, and Lieferando, one of Germany's biggest food delivery services. If you're in the USA and have a hankering for pizza, Domino's doesn't accept it, but you can place your order through Pizza for Coins. They're a delivery company that lets you pay in Bitcoin or Ethereum and places your order with a range of pizza outlets for you, sure enough, including Domino's. But what about high street retailers? Again, don't expect it to be accepted that widely, at least not yet. But once again, it looks like it's catching on. trendy cosmetics firm Lush, with outlets worldwide, and American jewelers Reed's both take Bitcoin. And in the UK, if you want to buy somebody a gift card or a voucher, you can buy one through the company Giftoff. They accept Bitcoin and partner with many of Britain's best-known high street retailers. In a lot of countries, you'll find websites which list businesses that accept crypto as payment, like wheretоспendbitcoins.co.uk, where you'll find plenty of British high street stores, restaurants, and bars, as well as online businesses that will accept Bitcoin as payment. When it comes to air travel, you could use Bitcoin to make a booking through American online travel agent Cheap Air, or with abitsky.com, a travel agent that specializes in Bitcoin payments. And if you happen to be flying from Latvia, you could book a flight with their national airline, Air Baltic, the world's first national airline to accept Bitcoin. And just in case you want to book a flight into space through Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic, you've guessed it, you can pay for this in Bitcoin too. But of course, online purchases are where most of the action is going on for crypto. And when the list of companies that accept it include the likes of Microsoft, you know there are big names taking it seriously. It's also accepted by dating site OkCupid and for donations to Wikipedia. And Bitcoin payments are a big driver behind Square, the online payment site started by Twitter's Jack Dorsey. In fact, it seems that Dorsey is one of Bitcoin's biggest fans. So much so that in early 2019, he tweeted he was buying $10,000 of Bitcoin per week, as he's confident it's on the way to being a bigger player in business transactions worldwide. But what about other crypto, like Ethereum and LITECOIN? For these digital currencies, pretty much all the action is happening online. You can use them to pay for a range of products and services online, from web hosting to pet retailers, and from clothing or interior design to art and precious metals. So what's the overall trend? Basically, it looks like crypto is taking big steps forward as a payment method, and having some big names like the founder of Twitter standing firmly behind it can only help. Which brings us to what's stopping companies from accepting Bitcoin? Well, truth be told, there are some pretty understandable barriers, and first on the list is the fact that, yes, it's still volatile. This explains why online travel agent Expedia first embraced crypto in 2014, but then changed its mind when the value of Bitcoin plummeted in 2018. After all, who wants to accept a payment in a currency that could drop in value just after a received payment? And there's no denying it's got a bad rap after being used for illegal transactions. This is something that's given it a bad rap in the past too, including the fact the dark website Silk Road processed all their transactions in Bitcoin. And with all Bitcoin accounts being anonymous, it's unfortunately a go-to method of payment for all kinds of criminal activity. But some of the things that go against it also creates an opportunity in a sector that's totally legal, at least in a lot of countries. Online gambling. Online gambling is definitely a sector to watch, as it's growing incredibly fast. It's currently worth about $450 billion worldwide, and that's expected to rise to closer to $600 billion by 2022. But it does present gamblers with a few problems, and the good news for crypto is it can solve all of them. The first problem is a lack of trust. In most online gambling, players can't see the mechanisms behind what's going on. This means they often wonder if the table is rigged, and unlike in a real casino, they have no proof that anybody is actually winning. So how does crypto solve this? The mechanism that makes crypto possible is blockchain. That's basically a transparent online ledger of transactions that anyone using it can see, and it allows everyone playing to see what's happening in a way that most online gambling doesn't. In fact, there's only one thing they can't see. That's the identity of the players, because crypto makes their accounts anonymous. And that's another advantage. The fact that players are anonymous is attractive to a lot of gamblers, and by having lower overheads than other gambling sites, crypto can increase the size of the pot gamblers can win. You've heard the expression, the house always wins, right? Well, blockchain can perform functions that people did until now, which lowers the cost of running these sites. And with crypto sites having very low overheads, this increases the potential of winnings for players. So it's no surprise that crypto gambling sites are making big gains, like Satoshi Dice, which specializes in Bitcoin gambling. And there are even examples of crypto created specifically for gambling, like ZeroCoin. So-called because the house takes 0% of the pot and puts it all toward the winnings. Now, who else is getting in on the action? We've already mentioned that Twitter's Jack Dorsey has been making Bitcoin a big part of his payment site, Square, and it looks like this has prompted some competition from the world of social networking. In 2019, Facebook announced their plans to rival Bitcoin with their own crypto, Global Coin, and they said we'll be able to use it for payments on Facebook, WhatsApp, Messenger, and Instagram. And unlike most other crypto, Facebook announced that this will be a so-called stable coin. That means it's pegged to the US dollar to get around the problem of volatility. And all this brings us to, what does the future hold for Bitcoin? As for its value, the truth is it's impossible to predict what Bitcoin is going to do next. Traders who've developed complex algorithms to predict movements in stocks, commodities, and traditional currencies admit they still haven't cracked Bitcoin or other crypto. This is partly because it's so new, and the coronavirus crisis, which has caused the value of Bitcoin to plunge again, has only proven the point. Really, we can only wait to see what happens next. But a big trend is it's catching on as a payment method, and with some tech heavyweights behind it, this trend is likely to continue, and it's very possible that soon enough, more of us will be making purchases using crypto as a form of payment on a regular basis. Now, with all this said, Aluxers, we're curious. Do you think one day crypto will totally replace traditional currencies? Let us know what you think in the comments. And of course, for sticking with us until the end, we owe you a bonus, so here it is. The first ever crypto payment happened in 2010 when programmer Laszlo Hanya bought 2 Papa John's pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin. Not from Papa John's themselves, of course, they didn't accept Bitcoin, but from another Bitcoin user in Britain who then made the order to Papa John's outlet in Jacksonville, Florida. The value of the Bitcoin he paid was about $40 at the time, kind of pricey for a couple of delivery pizzas, but today, that would be closer to $50 million. Hanya, who's since been nicknamed the Bitcoin Pizza Guy, says people often tell him he's an idiot for exchanging his Bitcoin for pizza, but he has no regrets and says that somebody had to get the Bitcoin ball rolling. And even if he did end up with 2 pizzas instead of an 8-figure sum, he's proud to be that person. Thank you for spending some time with us, Aluxers. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpicked these videos, which we recommend you watch next. You can talk to us on all social medias or ask a question on our website, Alux.com. Thank you for being an Aluxer, and we'll see you back tomorrow.